All right, let's go ahead and get started. Only 12 of us online. Yeah, I decided to do this one early because I'm leaving. Well, I'm gonna go do something outside the state here today. And I'm leaving like at 10 and I'm getting back like at night. So, yeah, I wouldn't have time to do the regular time. But yeah, and I was gonna move it to tomorrow, but I'm busy tomorrow too. So I didn't want to wait till Sunday. So just said, let's go ahead and do it earlier today and then pretty much go from there. So yeah, start off with DXY. Excuse me. Right, so we know that there was a news event, I believe it was yesterday. There was a news event, I believe, yesterday. Yep. Numbers are positive. As a result, bullish pump, and we pretty much had a whiplash. But what I was really looking into, because you guys know that our daily bias is still bearish, at least for the medium term. I know we're definitely aiming for previous lows here, and we're pretty much anticipating that bearish false flag, especially after the momentum that we saw last week. I believe, was it? Yeah, it was last week. So the bias is definitely bearish, right? Internally, we are bearish as well, right? And disregarding the whiplash, we are technically bearish, right? And I know, right, that as of last week, we were looking for a structure retap, see how we would react and pretty much go based off that. So when I'm reading, this, in order to gain a bias, I'm not necessarily focusing, right, on just a structure, because for example, we were looking at this as a potential liquidity grab to the downside, but because it was a news event, it wasn't really sustainable, as you can see, and in effect, we came up for a liquidity grab, and we are currently short-term bearish, right? So by this, I'm not necessarily trying to assume continuation BOS, discount, moon. That's not necessarily what I'm looking at, because I'm always referencing, right, what my daily bias is, which is obviously, right, my swing bias, which would be bearish, and my major intraday is also bearish. So I'm trying to look for reasons to justify continuation trades, right? And as of now, I see perfect inefficiency top, meaning we are technically still in bearish order flow, right? And then when we zoom in now, based off of that reading, I can see that liquidity has been cleared. We are inside of structure, right? Unfortunately, this move happened at, obviously last night. But we know, right, that we have our internal liquidity grab. We see bearish order flow, right? Bearish order flow doesn't continue there, but we're seeing a continuation of price after the transition. So based on the transition, right, in support of our previous structure top, damn, that is not perfect. But yeah, oh well. Based on that structure top and obviously the transition, I know that we are short-term bearish, and I'm not necessarily, right, looking for anything here without, a proper transition to the upside, just as we seen last night. But as of now, I do pretty much want to see those continuations. Unfortunately, this is a little annoying, so we didn't reach back up here. So this is, in my opinion, for me right now, not really tradable, but I do want to see how we end up the week, right? Because this could be a sign, right, of a continuation of the bearish engulfing that we got last week. And if that happens, then honestly, next week, this could literally just start melting on us, because I really am a lot more confident in that bearish bias. especially now that this is gaining traction after the transition from London. So I'm not really looking for anything reversal wise internally, especially today on a Friday. But yeah, I'm definitely trying to see what happens down here. Right, I hope we don't get a bullish transition. I hope any type of bullish transition would then be countered by a bearish transition, which would be, you know, a legitimate high opportunity trade in my opinion then, because you're obviously getting bearish transition on potential bullish pullback of the overall bearish bias. And that could obviously lead you to aiming for equal lows, relative equal lows, I'm sorry, and obviously our major daily target. So as of now, right, kind of hard to justify a scenario, but it's going to be very interesting to see how we react, right, based on, you know, what we had just been discussing. Let me delete this. Right, AU, I'll go to EU before I go to AU. Same thing with EU. So we had been anticipating, right, a potential retracement because we know, right, that we are technically pretty much bullish as of now. But the only thing that's pretty much holding this back was how much of a premium we were in, right, before obviously the whiplash. How much of a premium we were in, and we wanted lower, but we didn't want the momentum to shift because then that would be a character shift, which would, you know, anticipate a potential reversal. So I know that a lot of us went shorts, but we did break even, right? Although technically it is counter trend, especially if we're picking a high and we're trying to go based on, I believe it was a previous potential liquidity grab here. When we take liquidity, take out preliminary structure, and we're trying to catch continuation to the downside, which would technically be picking a high from a major intraday, or from a minor intraday. It could be justified, but as you can see, trying to catch a retracement isn't really sustainable for the long run. And we just get a bunch of choppy price action. Right, but as of now, we know that we got, right, the bullish liquidity grab, right, and that has been pretty much challenged already again. So the only issue that I have with here is I don't really see any relative POI that I could go off of from my major and minor intraday. I'm pretty sure not even from, yeah, I don't really see anything in terms of trying to make a play. So as of now, in my opinion, DXY looks a lot more attractive than EU does, just because I don't see the play from an order flow perspective. All I'm seeing is a whiplash, right? And as of now, we are short-term bullish. So it's a bit conflicting, right? Because we can obviously see there's potential POIs here, right? And that would pretty much counter, you know, our DXY bias, which is why I'm saying, you know, why we're looking for that potential transition, see how that works out, right? But as of now, I don't really want to catch a reversal unless it's justified. Daily 50%. Okay, I see that. Okay, I see that. Good eyes, good eyes. But yeah, as of now, just with DXY, you could see very, very choppy transition here. Obviously, liquidity grab, and we're currently short-term bullish. So as of now, I don't necessarily want to catch the continuation because I like to catch transitions. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get some type of, you know, maybe Polish structural disruption up here, just to give us, you know, a reason to want to take risk in toward that bullish bias. But the bias is still the same. Unless we are to break this low, then I would pretty much be convinced that we're going to clear highs and probably start aiming right for potential structure taps, potential POIs up here, right? But those are definitely still, what, a couple hundred pips away. Excuse me. Right, but if we are to reach up here, then you definitely need a pretty big transition, especially because we know that we were bearish. Right, we got the continuation, and now we're in a potential bullish liquidity grab. So unfortunately, we never got, you know, the deeper retracement that we wanted. But it's going to be interesting to see whether, for example, if this fails, if we start coming down and then come up, if we start seeing, right, price just come up and then come down, liquidity grab, and then that would be a swing opportunity, right? So we're pretty much in a loading phase where I really want to see what we do from a daily perspective before I actually aim for any type of particular swings. Because I know a couple of people cut the bottom here. And as of now, you know, this week was very, very choppy, but it only makes sense just due to how impulsive we were last week and the fact that we had taken out, you know, a major liquidity point or a major structure point there, which would kind of align a bit with AU, why, you know, we see a lot of choppy price action after the liquidity grab. But yeah, with AU, definitely a lot cleaner this week in terms of market condition, and I just mean a lot more trendy, whereas EU was a lot more choppy. But right as of now, right, I don't necessarily want to change the bias just yet, but I'm actually going to delete a lot of this stuff. Right, so as of now, we know where our trend is technically, and we are pretty much approaching a very important area of interest that was, I'm pretty sure, tapped at 50%. Yes, it was. 50% was tapped, but we know that we're still bearish. However, we know that this is a pretty deep retracement due to us having cleared, you know, a lot of liquidity. But we know that internally, this is showing us a lot more of a bearish sign than a bullish. So as of now, right, I definitely want to see this internal bullishness come up a bit higher, see if we can get a bearish transition, and this could actually be a lot more probable than our other EURUSD setups, especially because we have daily POI, and then we have obviously bearish liquidity grab, and we're now potentially waiting for a potential premium. Right? Obviously, for that premium to be reached, we need internal bullishness. And as you can see, if we get any type of bearish transition, then it would definitely be, you know, a very, very big trade potentially. But yeah, I definitely want to see how we start reacting to make any type of judgment. But yeah, I mean, not too much to cover today. Pretty much a boring week. Let me see how this is going to close out for this week. Yeah, reacting from weekly wick. Nothing too convincing though from the weekly time frame. And daily time frame might potentially be alerting, so definitely going to be weary of how we close today. But yeah, definitely want to see how we're going to react from our minor intraday. But yeah, does anybody have any questions? How's everybody doing? Well, we're pretty much waiting for this. Let me see how many people we got. 20. How's everybody doing? Good to see people are up trading right now. Just got back from uni. What time is it over there if you just got back from university? Is it what, like 1 p.m., 2 p.m.? Oh, okay. Makes sense. Yeah, man, you guys over there overseas got it really good. Yeah, been busy. Regretting going out on Thursday night. Dang, bro, I haven't gone out in a couple of weeks. Honestly, I'm really over that stuff. But yeah, cool. Does anybody have a conflicting bias with what we have today? Maybe somebody in here is more of a scalper, have a different bias in play. But yeah, does anybody have any questions, anything they want to show? Bit of a better week in terms of executing my models. That's good. That's good. You like to see it. That's good. But yeah, let me see. I was reading something yesterday. I actually posted it on Twitter. It's from let's see, let me find it really quick. On Wednesday, most looking for sale on Wednesday. Yeah, I would say we were. Which is completely counter trend. Yeah. I mean, it's not just that. Right, super sloppy. This was definitely more trendy, but the opportunities I believe came during Asia. Yeah, Asia, London. This one was actually New York, but that was yeah, this was Wednesday or Tuesday. But yeah, I would say we were looking for more sales on Wednesday on this. I believe it was around here. So yeah, pretty much just whiplash both sides, which kind of matches the condition that it was already in. Right, very choppy. From what I remember, I believe I took my trade over here. It was inefficiency. I believe it was M3, unless I'm mistaken. I was somewhere around here. I completely forgot. Well, yeah, it had pretty much whiplashed, and after it had whiplashed, I kind of just stayed away. It was intermediate break of structure, internal liquidity grab, DOI, yeah, and I believe, I don't remember exactly. Don't remember exactly where the entry was. It looked a little bit like a schematic. Where exactly? Do you mean after this? You mean after this? Here I would definitely have not have set a schematic. No way. One. There's no climax. Two, I don't want to assume a schematic here because you don't know if you're going to get LPSY or UTAD. No, this is a range. I would say yeah. But in terms of playing, I would probably have assumed a bearish liquidity grab. So the issue with trying to trade a schematic, bro, is you don't necessarily know it's a schematic until it's done. That's the issue. That's why you focus on structure, order flow, where, how, and why. You see, if I would have seen something closer to this here, right, then I could start assuming a potential schematic forming. Exhaustion, then diminishment. But no, yeah, after I saw all these little drives internally, I don't really necessarily want to assume anything. And also, schematics, for example, if I'm looking for a reversal, they usually happen at the bottom or the high of a range. But as you can see, in terms of the range, we're right in the middle. But I don't want to assume a schematic unless it's obviously at a high or low, not necessarily in the middle. So yeah, structure, order flow, where, how, and why. Created a curve. Where exactly? Yeah, you can show your entries. Yeah, actually, I read that. I don't know what you mean by curve. I think it'd be better if you could speak. If I can put my screenshot, my laptop mic is all full. Yeah, that's cool. Go ahead and send them to me. But I don't know what you mean by curve. Yeah, does anybody else have any questions? I know you guys have questions. Like, well, actually, I might be wrong there. A lot of you guys have been in here for a minute too. Yeah, the boy Sean on too. You can EU shot on Friday. You mean last night? You mean last night? Oh, last week. Was that the 4th? Yes, it was. Right around here. Transition or off retracement? Nice. So right here. What are we looking at? Validation up there. Yeah, go ahead. I would assume something like this. Late New York, was it? Yeah, it was. Right when spread opened. Yeah, this week's been a little boring in my opinion. Outside of the news event, it was relatively boring. No real textbook stuff. Now this is interesting. Alright, so let me see. This is gonna be interesting right now. Definitely. Wick liquidity. You can see no true POI though. So internal LG. Right, probably see a reaction off of here. Yeah, and I also like character change here. Yeah, yeah, I definitely see what you mean. The bias is still intact. I do want this more than anything, but honestly, I'm more so waiting for next week. Right, I don't care if this retraces today, but I'd rather catch a proper transition. Yeah, this is interesting. Internal liquidity grab. But the thing is I don't want to sell from here. I don't want to sell here because this is heavy discount. But yeah, this reaction is going to be interesting to see. Honestly, this one had me a bit confused after the news event. Especially when I woke up this morning when I saw that, liquidity was taken. Because usually you don't see the double whiplash like that. Usually you see this, right? Obviously the inefficiency is filled and then you see the continuation of bias. But I guess that's what happens when you have positive numbers, I guess, then on a bearish bias. Right, because we had a positive release on a bearish bias. Yep. Actually, so we know our preliminary was here. Right, so this is where it's getting conflicting to me. So look at this. So this is conflicting because we know that we're bullish, but we had the internal reaction, right? And we had obviously this confirms the pullback, right? And so it's just annoying because, for example, now, right, we got this and we got this, which means technically that's a bearish thing, but I don't want to assume that reversal, especially because this is not a substantial new low, but at the same time, this is not a substantially new high. So I just hate those whiplash effects. Um, so you see instant reaction. Nice. Want to see if that's sustainable or not. Yeah. Like the only reason I wouldn't want to buy this is internal liquidity grab. No, it has not. This one, definitely. Still want that bearish bias, for sure. Definitely still want the bearish bias. But it's pretty annoying, especially that we're having this. Because now look, that's going to be a stupid closure in 15 minutes. Yep, definitely still waiting for the hand too. Right, and this right here is a reversal pattern. That is a reversal pattern, so you know you're technically bullish. Internally, that's what I mean. Because obviously all it takes is one candle to shift the entire bias. Also, just to critique here, I probably wouldn't do that. Inefficiency. Right, did this ever react here? I believe it did. It did not. But yeah, I would say this is a reversal pattern. So I don't really want to, that's why I said I want the transition here internally, because it's H4, probably M5 and 15. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Oops, wrong start. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how we are going to react here internally. What is that, M3POI now? Yep. Not trying to buy this though because of the liquidity grab, but definitely want to see how we react. So we can just maybe trade. Yeah, I agree. Next 15 minutes are going to be crucial. Just unfortunately, doesn't make sense to buy this. Let's see, where's DXY reacting from? Nowhere. You could say inefficiency, but I don't want to say that. It's not clear enough. I would have wanted a reaction off of here. So DXY isn't reacting off of anything. EU's not reacting off of anything. So I'd rather wait for a model to show. Give me something. I don't like to say unsupported. I stopped saying that a long time ago. Because if you say it's unsupported, then that's assuming that order flow is absolute, which it isn't. Right? Because if order flow is absolute, that would assume that we know exactly how the market moved, which is false. I just don't like to say unsupported anymore. Yeah, I definitely don't see anything right now. Definitely. Yeah, because so unsupported would be more of like a hindsight thing. For example, a move, you could say a move is unsupported after it happened because of X, X, and X, but to say it at the time is, you know, kind of conflicting from a logic perspective. Yeah, so I don't like what this is doing. I don't like how, oops. I don't like how this just took liquidity and just ran through a POI, so I don't see strong bearish order flow and I don't see any bullish order flow. So not really something I want to touch. And yeah, as you can see, in about 12 minutes, we're gonna have our H4, which looks pretty bearish. But hey, that means we could actually start seeing this pricing on here. Nah, I wouldn't see that, bro. I wouldn't see that, to be honest. I wouldn't see that. Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense. Probably just be stupid for the rest of the day. There's one that you guys have been really trading this week, though, that I've been noticing. This one. You guys have been trading this one. See how this has been. Oh, this has been ugly, too. Yeah, never mind. Never mind on that one. But if I had to just argue something, I would argue transition in terms of this, it would be your retracement. So when I'm looking at internal structure, I know low high, right? Liquidity, oops. This is a great sign right here. Liquidity has been taken, right? Internal liquidity grab, you're looking at almost a discount, right? But you can see that internally you're bearish. Excuse me. Internally you're bearish, even though you're challenging a previous high right now. This is definitely making me assume bearishness. So this one would be, I would argue more so to the bullish side on this one. I see. That isn't perfect, so I probably wouldn't argue that. But yeah, I see what you see. I would more so argue that. But what matters more isn't necessarily the POI. I just care more for the clearing of liquidity. Right, ton of liquidity down here, and then bullish liquidity grab. But yeah, I would definitely argue this as being bullish. Watch that even reverse now. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I won't trade this, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see this. Really want to see how this is gonna react. Just mental note. This is stupid. This is stupid too. Yeah, hopefully this keeps going up. UCLA is moving clearer than EU. This week, I would say yes. I would say yes this week. I don't know about period, because last week when we did that study, I forget who it was, but it was pretty ugly over here. It was like over here, yeah, this is ugly. And I mean, you could justify that it's still ugly because look what happened immediately after. Right, liquidity grab, bearish order flow, bearish continuation, liquidity grab, right? So technically this is all bearish. up until this. Yeah, bro, that's really why I started I believe, do you guys remember when I did that change? I believe it was like a year and a half ago almost, that I just started trading 3 pairs, no more than 3 pairs. Because for example, if I'm not on the call right now, and if I had like 5 pairs, I'd have 5 windows up, each one with different alerts. Sometimes they would all hit at the same time. So it's super, yeah, I definitely would agree that it's very consuming. And it's extremely hard to focus on 5 setups at a time. Especially because the more that you look at the charts, the more inclined you are to trade. Exactly, which is the whole point. Also, when you joined late, but back in the day, before we like formally like introduced models and formally like brought that topic up of derivative and stuff like that, all of that used to be just called pair behavior. Right? I know a lot of you guys remember that. And pair behavior is those little details. And they make all the difference. They really do. Like for example, I was watching a journal last week, and somebody started trading UJ, and literally his entire model was shaped around how UJ likes to take its liquidity, do its liquidity grabs. Like for example, liquidity continuation. That's literally what the model was built on. I thought that was super interesting. Wait, I'm obviously not saying go trade this in UJ, but I just thought it was really interesting that a lot of his trades were around that type of scenario. And I forgot the name too. I'm so sorry. I forgot who it was. But yeah, you can see the same things in GBPs. You can see the same things in some yens. Yeah, this is gay. Is this going to react or not? But yeah, cool. Does anybody have any more questions? Anything they want to go over? Add AU back into the GU. But... So what I like about AU, right? This is I never really bring this up because it's like I think that sounds super confusing. When I bring it up. So what I like about AU, for example, if you trade even Asia sesh and you're catching those transitions internally, no matter if it's a liquidity grab or if it's an order flow transition or disruption, right? No matter what, usually the transitions give you such a great low, how do I say this? Low barrier of entry, right? Which is pretty much for every situation. But these scenarios are 0.5, oh, obviously that's on here, right? But they're usually like 2 pips. Right? And if you catch these 2 pip trades, you're obviously, you know, depending on account size, that's giving you a relatively large lot size. And so if you're trading at, let's say, beginning of New York, you're trading these low liquidity areas via transition, via model, right? Once you get, you know, that liquidity, that volume come in, you get, you know, these big moves For example, back up here, where is it? Not here. For example, up here, when I caught that M5 transition, early New York, where it's low liquidity via transition, this is what I mean. Right, we're at a 5-minute, I still got about a 3-4 pip stop, but once the liquidity comes into play, once the big move starts to come into play, you see these 90 pip moves. Yeah, it's so hard to explain, like, but you get what I mean, right? You enter in low liquidity areas via transition, model, whatever, to get the tight stop, right? But a tight stop on AU is not a tight stop on GU. A tight stop on GU could be 4 or 5 pips. A tight stop on AU could be 2-3 pips. So if you catch those areas of low liquidity, those transitions, you get those, you know, those 2 to 3 pip stops. So once the liquidity comes in, the big move comes in. See, that's 20R in what, 12 hours? It's just I don't bring that up because it's super confusing. Like I feel like I get tongue twisted when I try to explain it. Yeah, definitely. Definitely patience. But yeah, this one here was my first trade of the year and it was very, very nice. So now it's just not trying to get caught up. So this one's not giving us anything. But yeah, that's why I like these slow moving pairs. That's why I like trading these. Yeah, so seeing the bias is right here. Inefficiency. Now let's see if this is going to sustain itself. And what I like about AU is from a swing POV. This has been trendy for the past, what, year and a half? Since June of last year. No, not a year and a half, but almost a year. But it's been very trendy for the past year-ish. Yeah, that's good. And gold isn't one that I've been looking at. Let me see. What is that doing these days? I do think this is long-term bullish, 100%. Hmm. 50% reaction right there. Yeah, it's just it whiplash just like EU did. But yeah, this definitely pumps out big moves. I mean, it is a commodity, so it makes sense, but that's 475 pips right there. Let's see if this is gonna jump or not. But yeah, if you guys don't have any more questions or stuff, I'm probably gonna end it off here. Oh, completely forgot I was gonna show you guys. Completely forgot. Sorry about that. This I don't know if you guys noticed, but I follow this guy a lot on is this my personal or is this the RC? My stuff RC personal. I don't have my RCV. See. Right, so I don't know if you guys follow my personal Instagram, but I'm always sharing this guy's stuff. Me and him are really good friends. I met him online. Um what do I say? This his name is Burak, something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it. I've never actually said it. But I follow him on my personal. His Instagram is Motor Analytics. His name is B-Rock. He's a super smart guy, and he made this post, and I really really liked it, so I posted it on the RCV Twitter. Right, and this is a big issue with, with your models. I don't know if Alfie's on the call right now. No, he's not. But this is the problem he had a couple of months ago, and it's kind of reoccurring here and there, but he definitely understands it a lot more differently now. Is where if you pretty much strive for perfection, you're not going to get perfection, because perfection technically isn't true, isn't real per se. And this really resonated with me. Perfection is fear in motion. It's a synonym of procrastination. Yeah, he's a very smart guy, very very smart guy, very very disciplined guy. But yeah, when I saw this, I had to post it on here because we always want to, for example, I don't know if you guys have noticed, right? But I don't really follow the whole trading scene. I don't really follow a lot of people in trading, just because I think most of them are pretty funny. But also I don't really like being on social media 24/7. But if you really notice, and if I'm starting from pretty much when RCV launched in April of 2020, that was right when the whole high RR thing was, popularized and stuff. And that's when really it started popping off. That's when it started becoming a big thing. And over time, people are trying to transition high RR from swing trading to intraday to scalp, and they try to catch every single move. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Right, but people want to be able to trade M1 and catch every single reversal, every single continuation that you can get. Right? I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but I hope you guys get what I mean with that. Like, it's going less from understanding smaller time frame stuff to trying to, for example, buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, buy here. All right, do I make sense with that? Right, and a lot of people are they're adding indicators, and they're doing this and this, right? But it's just that pursuit of perfection. It's that pursuit, and you could say it's marketing, you could say it's so and so and so, but it's really just the pursuit of perfection. And if you don't, I don't necessarily, from a risk perspective, that doesn't really make sense to me, for one. But two, right, that pretty much resonates with this tweet. And that could just be me, but obviously, this is how I see it. But yeah, hopefully you guys understand what I meant with that. But yeah, just remember, derivative over perfection. Does anybody have any more questions? Yeah, the thing is though, is I don't want to reduce it to just marketing, because it's deeper than that. Of course. Yeah, I mean, you could say it's a trap, but I mean, I think slowly people are starting to really open their eyes, especially in the niche. Yeah, you can see this. Look at this now. And does this mean this is dying? This is so ugh. Ugh. Bearish order flow and play, ugh. Yeah, not something I'm trading today. But yeah, this is cool to see. I've answered that before. What are the 3 things that can happen in a POI? Yep. Now let's see. This is going to be interesting. Corrective structure. Internally bearish. Although technically our bias was bullish. This is going to be interesting. Getting off of that though. Open 50% LG, yes. But yeah, unless you guys have any questions. Yeah, we were on here for 57 minutes, almost an hour. Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, there was just nothing today right now. Just nothing appealing from a major intraday sense, right? But nothing appealing today. Yeah, this looks like it's going to keep going up. But yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and end it off here.